Our number 6 point that I wanted to bring out, and this is about ectopically erupting teeth. Now, an ectopically erupting teeth, all it means is that there's a permanent tooth growing in kind of at a high angle, running into the back of the deciduous second molar, and it hits it up high where the root is, and it'll eat the root of the deciduous tooth away. And if you just leave it there, it'll keep eating in there until it causes the exfoliation of the deciduous second molar. And then the 6-year molar that's up above it moves forward into that space. Now that you may have to think about that a minute unless you've messed with ectopically erupting teeth. Now if you get to the ectopically erupting tooth in time, it's just like a tilted tooth or uprighting a tooth. We've got several videos showing you how to do that. It's really simple to hook onto that tooth and just put force on it and it'll back right out of the hole. I've got several videos that show that, and it works great. So everybody ought to know that if you leave ectopically erupting tooth alone, it creates a real problem. It moves the 6-year molar almost 6 or 7 millimeters forward, and you lose that much space in your dental arch, see? So that creates a real problem. So ectopically erupting teeth should be dealt with as soon as you see them. Now, early mouth breathing is number 7. And early mouth breathing, people don't think about, when a child is breathing through their mouth. And up in their teens, or early on, breathing through their mouth is a bad thing. And let me go over the things that are created by mouth breathing. The first place, if you think about it, if I'm breathing through my mouth, I've got to have my tongue in the bottom arch. And having your tongue in the bottom arch, the tongue is a big muscle. It's a big thing. And it stays down there and it presses out on the sides of the lower teeth rather than being curled up in the palate up here where it presses the palate out and keeps the upper teeth out over the lower teeth. The tongue doesn't. It causes a problem in there. Now, as it widens the lower arch, it gets to where the lower arch is not meeting the upper arch properly. So frequently, if it's just going cuspid to cuspid, the child or whoever will shift their jaw to one side and chew so they can get their teeth together better. Now, a lot of times it goes out real wide and the whole lower teeth will fit over the upper teeth. The cusp may be inside, right, kind of reverse. It can get even worse than that. But anyway, you see a lot of young people with cuspid airway being stopped up, causes them to breathe even worse, and so that makes them breathe worse than that. So it's very important that the child start breathing through their nose as soon as possible. As soon as you can possibly get the child breathing through their nose, it's much, much better. Now I'm going to go on into number 8. Now, the good effect of children nursing. A nursing child has to breathe through their nose, and that is a fact. Now, if they're really bad, they have to stop nursing and breathe and then go back and forth like this. But the effect of nursing has a lot of effect on the child as they're developing. Now, I was in Africa for about 3 years, and I worked, had a clinic there, and I went to a school where none of the children in the school had never seen a dentist. They wouldn't know what a dentist was. I was in a city there, Baden, and there were only myself and one other dentist. He was a Nigerian dentist in the town. And so this was a smaller village, and it had a lot of people in it, out from Baden, about 30 or 40 miles. And I went in there, and there wasn't, and I filled all of these kids' teeth. I took the staff that I had at the dental clinic, and we filled every cavity on the children in that school, and I filled 12 cavities. The kids never eat anything sweet, and so they just didn't have any decay. I also straightened their teeth. Now, strangely, I didn't have a camera that I could shoot any pictures of all these kids, but every child in that school had class 1 occlusion. They were broad-faced, broad-nosed, and their teeth were big, and they fit their mouth good, and they all had good noses and had developed their airway. And the only thing I could come up with as a reason for that was that these kids nursed till they're about 3 years old, or at least over 2. We come up with a question number 9 is, should we extract teeth or should we not take out teeth on people? Well, the people of this world are mixed up, I mean, all kinds of mixes in here. And when you take a person who's got a big bone structure, big round face person, and then they marry somebody with a thin facial structure, or maybe it's back another generation. Anyway, if you get the gene from one side of the family that is for a big broad tooth to fit a big broad facial structure, then, and you have another person who's thin that's married, and you get the thin bone structure and you've got the big tooth, they just do not fit together. Or you might be able to stick them in there, but you're going to have the person all expanded out, and it's too much. Now my mother worked for an orthodontist who did labial lingual work, and they couldn't do anything with an extraction, so they just told you that good Lord made these 32 teeth, and so you're supposed to keep all the teeth. However, they did take out wisdom teeth and stuff, but that is not right. There are many, I say many, there are not that many people that really have to have teeth removed, but when they do, they really do need that. And we just don't do all that many extractions. Like at one time, they were just extracting everything, just didn't make any difference. They just took them all out. It didn't, like bicuspids and everything. But this is not the way we do it now. So we take a few teeth, I don't know, maybe it's 10, 15% or something, maybe even smaller than that. A lot of the time it depends on where you're working, the ethnic people that you're with, and things like that. But there is a place for extracting teeth, and it's not, just don't get on that bus that says, oh, we never take out teeth. That's absolutely wrong. You need to take out teeth on some people. Okay. Now number 10, this video was about lower jaws being trapped back. You'll have somebody that's class 2, and maybe like the guy that about the last video or two that I did on this man who was 79 and a half, and just a fine guy. I really liked working on him and everything. And he, of course, we went into the 80s real quick, and his jaw was locked back. If you go and find this video on him, it's just expanding the arch on older people is the name of the video. Find that and go over it. And he was a nice guy, and I went and opened his bite, just raised the bite up, and like we intruded the upper anteriors and intruded the lower anterior, and we got this contact point that held the jaw back, and he came in 1 week. I saw him, and the next he was class 2, and I was getting ready to really work on that, and he came in the next time, and he was class 1, and I could not get his jaw. I couldn't manipulate it and get it to go back, and I thought something's crazy here. But he was holding it out there. He wouldn't let me take it back there. So I did some transcranial x-rays, and there on the case you can see it where the condyle was already, it had been brought forward. You see, the condyle was brought forward in the transcranial, so I knew he was faking it, but he chewed out there, his teeth fit out there, they felt better out there, and you couldn't get him to take his jaw back. So this is something that we have had. I've had class 2 cases that I opened the bite. In other words, I kept the upper teeth from locking the lower teeth back by just opening the bite. And I had a case one time that was class 2, and I was working on that. I opened the bite, and it went out to class 3. The lower jaw was too far out, so I had to wear, not very much, but I wore a little bit of class 3 elastics and brought the lower jaw back some and brought the upper jaw forward some, and it finished it that way. But I wanted to express that now people that have a retrognathic jaw, the real short jaw, you can't get it out there far enough. But people who are just a small amount off, then the class 2 correction is not bad to do at all.